Sophia stirred.
She was playing a mating game with you.
Max had been about to drop the card into the small wrought iron recycling bin in the corner, but now slid it into his pocket. If it took jealousy to rouse the real Sophia to the surface, he'd use it without any guilt whatsoever. When a man got kicked this hard in the guts by a woman, anything was fair. And the unique individual behind the mask of the perfect J, the one who'd told him Bonner's victims shouldn't have to spend eternity in the cold dark, that's who he wanted to know.
It's called flirting.
He shot her a slow, deliberately provocative smile.
I'm sure you must have seen humans do it before. Is that the physical type that attracts you?
Aware she should back off, but unable to stop pushing for an answer, Sophia stepped out of the elevator on Vale's floor.
Tall, slender, with a fashionable dress preference?
Max gestured to the left of the quiet, carpeted corridor.
That's his place.
Letting her pass him so she could input the code that would disengage the locks, he pushed open the door.
And,
he said in a voice that made the tiny hairs on the back of her nape rise in warning as she walked in ahead of him.
The answer to your question is no. That woman didn't do it for me.
He pushed the door shut behind them.
Now a small woman with dangerous curves. I could bite into her.
She froze, certain she was misreading the comment, but suddenly very conscious of the way her lower body filled out her jeans.
Detective Shannon,
she said, turning to face him.
You're being highly inappropriate.
His lips kicked up at the corners.
You started it.
She wanted to trace the shape of those lips, wanted it so badly her fingers cramped as she fisted them. Her silence had been fragmenting for years, an inevitable side effect of her work as a J, and one for which the J-Corps had a don't ask, don't tell policy. So long as the medics didn't find any evidence, the J-Corps Management Board wouldn't turn in a fractured J. It was partly an economic decision in order to retain the number of active Js, and partly because everyone in the Corps had looked into the chasm of madness at some point in their lives. Though Sophia hadn't allowed herself to think about the truth even within her own mind, conscious of how deep Psy could dig. Her conditioning had broken close to completely earlier this year, her mind twined with strange, dark tendrils that rebuffed silence. And the reconditioning she'd undergone only the previous day had already been sloughed off like so much dead skin. But in spite of it all, she'd been able to hold up the facade, the pretense of being the perfect Psy. Until now.